There you go. So you brought up a good point. SEO in space is a long game. It's always a long game. It's quite
Mm.
being in the digital agency space. It's also quite hard for clients to realize one thing, it's going to take times to move. Two, they a lot of times they don't see what you're doing behind the scenes,
Yeah.
so they don't know. They don't understand on literally what you're trying to do or what you're trying to achieve and why it isn't moving faster. And I'll give you an example. Like I had a client that I was working with a while ago, and he wanted to create as many links as he could for his website quickly. And I said, that's probably not the best idea because it'll actually, your ranking will probably drop down because it's an unnatural approach. And that
Mm.
I had to sort of push back on him saying, well, if you do this, it's going to make things worse. So, whereas I like SEO, a lot of the stuff that, and I'm testing always, a lot of stuff that used to work even 3, 4 years ago is not working anymore. Um, a lot of people are trying to hack the system with AI content.
Mm.
And so I'll give you a background of that. Like I called out a YouTuber because of what he put up on YouTube as a video, and then I went into SEMrush. No, I went into Ahrefs. Ahrefs is probably a better software to do
Yeah.
it, and it showed the traffic going up on his website fantastically, like you said, and then he was generating hundreds, if not thousands, of articles in a short period of time, and then Google picked up on what he did and dropped them off very simply within that month. So he put this video up saying this is a wonderful way of doing things, but didn't actually, once I looked at what actually happened, it's not a way of doing things in the long term. But I've been playing around with Perplexity for creating content. Have you used Perplexity? For very,
I've never used it myself, but I've heard about it a lot.
yeah,
Mm.
it's if you want to create a very focused, specific article on there, what I worked out was if you go and do a search and then it creates um, a brand new original content piece of article. I've also done it. There's a couple other videos I put in the group as well in the classroom around creating content from voice. And then that's, you just literally voice the article and then get ChatGPT to clean it up. So you can write an article in about 15 minutes, record your voice,
Mm.
go to ChatGPT, then use it to go rewrite and clean up my article. Don't change my words, but do it at a third grade level. And then
Yeah.
you end up with an original piece of content that's boom, all yours, and is super focused and is really good too at the same time. So that type of stuff is what I'm testing out. Um, what I'm moving into, if anybody else who watches this recording later, I'm moving more to the Google Ads side. One, because I've noticed that Google Ads is a good way to prove everything. And what happens is clients get results really quickly, and
Mm.
that increases their trust. Um, at the same time, while I'm making this video as well, most Google Ads don't work because websites have been built with brand in mind, not performance. And the client, say he's a builder, he wants new leads coming in. That's all he really wants. He wants new leads turning up. He wants, and I've had the scenario where the builder has 4 people that he's employing, and he just needs leads to keep them employed till he can find some big jobs. So
Mm.
I've gone down the path of saying, okay, I'll do Google Ads, but I'll do it for you for 3 months for free, and I'll manage it. But I insist on running specific building landing pages out that I control, that I can control the whole process of all the way through, so that I can. I get sick of sending traffic to websites, and the client says, "Well, it's not working. The website's not converting." So Google Ads, it's fast, it gets really good results quickly, but if it doesn't convert, then you know the advertising gets the blame. And whereas I said, well, if I control the whole process, then it's the accountability on me to get the results. And I set it up with all my process, and I'm just working through that. Just working with a couple of new clients and very specific markets locally as well. And it's a lot simpler. Um, Clients want leads, they want leads. It allows you to confirm the keywords that convert, and then you can take that over into your SEO, right?
Yeah.
Look, I didn't have this case study in the background, but a few years ago, I worked for, actually, ironic, you're in the UK. They were a camper van rental company in New Zealand, and they were wanting to, they were running ads for what was RV rental in the UK, trying to get clients, trying to get, they were mainly trying to bring the camper vans back in from distributors who had them. And
Mm.
what happened was we tested all these camper vans, it was and all these keywords, and it was all really intense, focusing head to head with all the big players, and it was really expensive and
Yeah.
all the rest of it. So we said to them, like, okay, how about we test the term trailer rental? And they said, well, that's not what we do. So we tested that, and let's just give us some budget to work on, and let's test out this keyword. And as soon as we tested out through Google Ads, lower cost per lead, lower cost for everything, and no one else was doing it. And I looked at it and thought, is there enough? Is there enough in this keyword area for the market? And there was. So we then pivoted all our SEO and everything else onto those trailer rental terms, and they went from a $3 million company to a $6 million company in about 6 months because they were
Amazing.
spending all their money in the right place. And as it turned out, they actually ran out of camper vans to actually rent. They were all out. So that's sort of some of those things when you have a concept and then you test it and it rolls out, and you can say to the client, look, okay, let's focus on this and test it, and then the data tells you the truth. That's how you compete with bigger companies. Um, so yeah, that's a lot of what I do. Like I said, I've been focusing more on Google Ads because a lot of people are doing really badly, and I'm coming across websites that I know. I had a guy last night. I talked to him. I took one look at his website and said, "This is great if you've got people who already know you, but this is never ever going to convert to cold traffic." You had a logo which had the square block around it. You had all these different elements which just wouldn't give you any trust at all. You had no no value really you were providing. I said to him, you'd spend a whole lot of money here and you wouldn't get it back. It's simple as that.
Mm.
So, and he was a brand new business. He was a bookkeeper in Canada. But like, if you run ads to this, you're going to lose money. That's it, period. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm going strong on, and a lot of measurement. So I discussed this once a while ago, but what I call closed loop tracking and open loop tracking. So a closed loop is the simplest form of tracking, where someone fills out a form and it goes to a thank you page. Easy to track,
Yeah.
it's easy to make sense. So the loop is closed. It's a completed loop. So, but if someone has links on their website to an email or have links to a phone number, and then they try and click on that link from a desktop, it goes nowhere, it does nothing, and people click on some really weird things on websites. It just doesn't make sense. But that's an open loop. You can count it technically as a conversion, but it's not really. So avoid having those links on there. At the same time, I'm just working on a design where on a desktop it will show as a unlinked button, but when the website loads in a mobile device, it will show as a link button, so they can click and call, and
Yeah.
that should make more sense that um, it
Mm.
works that way. So, but yeah, I've just got to work out the design at the moment so
Yeah.
it can do that. Um,
Yeah, and that's the thing. 'Cause with my clients, one of them is a sort of a solar panel company, but with being solar panel installers, everyone's on desktop. So then the phone number is displayed. But then if someone looks at that, if someone comes on from SEO and then looks at the page, likes it, and converts, they're going to type the number into the phone, but they're not going to click. So in a way, that's where it's hard to track, and that's what I found with SEO for me has been the biggest problem to start with because I couldn't really track my work.
yeah,
So only towards the end I got there, but it was hard.
I'll tell you who I'm using. Hang on, I'll give you the link to who I'm using because I've had exactly the same thing happen with a plumber a while back. He was He was a raving client. He was fantastic. He was happy. He was really, it was going great. And I looked at the report and said, it's all right, but you know, I wasn't that impressed on our report. Like, okay, so what exactly the same thing was happening, right? We're driving a lot of leads to the site, a lot of clicks through. We adjusted the count over 3 months,
Yeah,
and no, he was fantastic. What was happening was exactly the same thing as people were getting to the site, and then they were looking at here we go, copy. Then they were picking up their phone and ringing the number, and we weren't getting credit for it, which is okay. But how can we then spend? There's my drop my landing page software, which I have used. It creates dynamic changing numbers. So what happens when however they arrive on the site, you put one specific number, and then their number will change based on when that site, and even if someone rings that phone number through their phone, it will still track
yeah.
it back to Google Ads, which has driven the lead through.
Oh,
So,
brilliant!
and
Nice.
it gets really, when it gets really interesting, it can actually then qualify. I know it's on my landing page software. That one. Hang on. No, that's my landing page. Hang on. I'll grab my phone one. The phone one actually then.
Mm.
Hang on. I'll grab the other link. The phone number then actually records the call, and you can actually then the client can actually say whether it was a good lead or a bad lead, and also gives you the follow-up process. So you get a recording of the actual call that's happening.
Wow.
And then you can grade that call as well. No, I'm just going to remember. Which one was it? No.
Yeah, amazing. So, what sorts of businesses do you normally work with? Would you say like you niche down in certain industries, or are you happy? Do you just sort of work with all industries?
No, in New Zealand we're quite small. Most of agencies here are tiny, and they do just about everything. So I don't generally work in any specific areas. I do find that what works well is anything where there is a decent sort of value per client, like
Yeah,
builders, like plumbers are a bit iffy because it's a bit small.
yeah,
But builders where their goal is to build houses or whatever. Hang on.
yeah.
Yes. Where's my link? Hang on a second. I'm just going to grab it.
It's like a high average order value sort of thing, and very profitable.
Say that again.
Something that's very high with high average order value, and it's quite profitable.
Yeah. Someone with a higher order value. That's when you can say to them, if a lead is worth $100 if a lead cost is $100, for example, but that one client, if they convert one of those into a, 1 out of 10 might be a $5,000 project. Well, then it makes perfect sense, right? Whereas they've spent $500, they got 5,000 back, $1,000 to get 5,000 back, and then they'll do that all day long. And that's where you've got to put them all together. Hang on. I'm giving my landing page software my phone tracking software. Hang on. Links.
Yeah. So, which part of New Zealand do you live in?
I'm in Tauranga, about 5 minutes away from the beach.
Yeah, not bad. How's the weather for you right now this time of year? Is the weather warm?
Yeah, we're smack in the center of summer.
Nice.
Where you guys are in winter, right?
Yeah, winter
Yeah.
for us, so it's not as well. It's been relatively cold, but it's not been rainy where I live. Luckily, in the UK, I live in quite a dry part, so I don't actually get too much rain, so I'm not really too bothered by the weather as such. But in the spring, it's not very nice. It rains quite a lot, so
Yeah, I've just dropped my link into my phone tracking, so I gave you the wrong one before. But yeah, the phone
got
tracking
it.
software is amazing and it's quite affordable. Some of the other ones that are systems that I've tried, they're clunky and they get quite expensive very quickly. Whereas this one is really unknown. Really one really yeah, really unknown. It's just in the background, but it's quite affordable even for clients to pay for it. So and it's quite funny. The page loads and you'll see the number will change. And then you've got full conversion tracking, you've got full recording tracking, and I've got to contact them today to see if they'll actually do. Some websites they want people to text them. I want to see if they'll also track that as well. And that's international, so you can do UK numbers, you can do free calling numbers, you can do the works, it's pretty amazing. Some of the other ones I've tried a couple others, and they're quite hard to set up and they get messy. This is the easiest one I've used. So
Yeah, it's really cool. Thanks for sending it. I really appreciate that. Yeah,
yeah, well
something
that's
I'll look
that's
into.
why I do these calls. This is my like a Friday for me. This is my download of the week of what I've been working on. It's my goal to provide value to the group, and
Mm.
I enjoy doing it basically. And I use it as like, okay, here's what I've seen during this week. Here's what I've seen what works. Here's what I've seen doesn't work. Um, SEO, I'll touch on the SEO space for the AI side of it because man, there are going to be a lot of losers out there that are doing lazy SEO. And one of my mentors also said too, and you can look him up, Steve Chu, My Wife Quit a Job podcast. He's been in the e-commerce space for years.
Mm.
And he noted this week that as far as SEO, and this sort of make logic sense to me, he says what's doing well is anything where someone has got an e-commerce site because that's logical business. But his blog site, which has got 300 odd posts on it, was dropping in ranking. And his thought process was something like this, if it's an e-commerce site, it's logically a real business, but it's pretty easy to put up a blog site and then put up a lot of content in it and then rely on AI. And he says, I haven't used AI on the site, but I'm getting hit with that being in that bucket at the same time. And a lot of people will get hit in the same bucket. Basically, if
Mm.
you step over that line or you're anywhere near that line, you're going to get painted with the same brush. Um,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
started
pretty
this,
much.
yeah.
Yeah,
I s-
Google's rewarded brand, isn't it? Google's going for brand, so they want to see like it's a brand authority. So anyone where they're like, let's say, an independent journalist or they publicize work and write an article about finance, that sort of thing, they're getting wiped out. And I feel bad for them because a lot of people on the internet are actually quite valuable in those aspects. But if you haven't got a big brand or a company, then I think you'd be finished for
Yeah,
blogging.
it's a lot harder. That's and
Yeah,
I have done like every part of SEO. So you talk to SEO people, they're generally in one bucket or another. So
yeah,
they're either in technical. A technical SEO works fantastically if you've got a website that's got 100,000 pages. A mate of mine said, I did some work on this site, and he said it's so established you can do anything, everything goes up. He goes because it's so old. Um, then you've got the content, which is a really easy one to sell for agencies. Sell content, post content on the site. But the content problem is everyone and anyone can do that. And it's easy to push that as a model. The client sees content going up, so they see value. It makes them feel better. But everyone's pushing out their content, so you're competing with the other stuff. And I've seen a lot of sites, even though they're pushing out good content, Google's just dropping all those pages because there's so many people competing for that same content that they'll pick out the ones that they want and they'll drop them in um, Search Console. So those pages will just drop off and then you got to resubmit them if they want to let them back in again. And then the part that I did the most of, which was link building, is now more risky than it used to be. Some of the process I used 5 years ago I tested them out on a site a while ago, and you don't get any penalty notification or anything like that. The website just drops in ranking, even though it shouldn't have. And I always said that it used to be that you've got a website around black cats, and you create links to a website around black cats. And I always said, Google's not stupid. If you're trying to create these, keyword links back to you, they don't really need that. They know what your website's about. So that's becoming obvious now that you don't need to have those blatant linked keywords back into the site anymore. You just got to have some sort of content linking in, and Google is favoring that content if it's larger than just a simple small block. I tested one of those last year as well. Small content linking back to the site, and Google didn't even pick up any of them. They just dropped the whole lot. So I'm very much a tester to see what works because in my industry, I've spent years screaming at blogs saying that used to work 10 years ago, but it doesn't work now. So it's yeah, it's probably extremely opinionated as well, but that's because I've been in the trenches and I've been there so long. So
Yeah,
um,
no, honestly, I think personally, everything you're saying, I agree with. I agree with everything you're saying. I think it's the SEO is becoming. I think Google is getting better and better at working things out and working out what's going on. So I think in a way, there is going to be a day where, in a way, you can't. There's not really much room to cheat the system. I think your business is going to have to do what it does, or you're not going to rank. So I think it's going to get to a stage where it's going to be very, very hard for business to do that. But I think in a way, I can actually see people looking at maybe contract. I can actually see companies looking at involving SEO in contracts, so that them getting their clients to write articles about them. I can see that coming into things, so it's actually relevant. So I can definitely see that marketing people saying, please get them to write an article as part of the contract. And I think that will come into it in the years to come.
yeah, I think there is a lot there. I've seen SEO companies buy up real estate so that they had it. Um, so they could then write good content on existing sites that had authority and all those different things, so they could use it to boost the client site.
Wow.
That's not an unusual thing. I've done everything. There's blogs and blog networks and I was doing. I've used them in the past. I don't use them anymore. It's just too much risk in the end. Um, and basically, a client wants to see results, but they want to see it so fast that they get impatient. Um, that's just part of the game. And if you're dealing with any sort of clients, have that up front. And I used to say, no one knows exactly what ranks in Google. I've got the concepts of it, but it's going to take some work to see where the traction is, and it's still hit and miss. I don't work at Google. I can't tell you, and I won't. I won't provide any guarantee of ranking. I did when I went first as an SEO contractor years ago, but I won't do it anymore. There's too many elements in the way, so they've got to understand it's a long game. So, have you got anything else you want to ask me about specifically?
Yeah, so I would say for me personally, I'm looking to basically niche my business down into construction. That's kind of what I'm planning on doing. In the UK, there's quite a lot where I'm from. Luckily, there's a lot of business around about, so I'm not limited for targeting certain businesses. But I'd found most of my clients are in construction, and I think niching down will allow me to throw my whole brand at taking on those clients, capturing that
There's a
market. So that's
company that works specifically with construction. Hang on. They're a New Zealand company, but they're international. And I used them a while ago in doing some research on the ads that they were running. Uh,
mm,
Construction. TPG, hang on, TPG company. Let me check my email because what I was using for them was I noticed that they were running Facebook ads specifically to construction companies, no one else, largish construction companies. Um, construction.
mm. Yeah, I've heard that actually. I've heard people say that they have used Facebook ads for construction, and so some people say it works. I think for me, yeah, maybe something I'll have to look into in the future. Perhaps could be a decent way of doing things. But yeah, I'd be interested to learn more about that sort of thing.
TPG. Can't find it at the moment, but I'll look it up. So what? I went to the Facebook ad. If you Google the search, the Facebook ads library and
Mm,
search, then you can pull out what ads they were running and how long they've been running.
yeah.
Gave me an incentive. They're a training company. They're not a so they train builders. They specifically focus on builders that are in the, I think there's a $1 million plus, and do
Mm,
training for that. But I think they probably have a Google Ads company internally with it as well. They run ads, but they look at everything with construction companies um, worldwide, and they train them with their, teach them their processes, get them all those systems underway. But they'd be a good starting point. At least you to have a look at what they're doing, because that's what I was using them for, just to see, what ads are they running to construction companies. Um,
mm. Yeah, that's
Specifically, it just gave me
but,
ideas of like pain points and that sort of thing. So the like in this is a big enough space because I'll share this. So I use in my ads quite pain points where your Google ads. Do you even know what you're getting from your Google ads? How many leads? What's it paying for you? Those sort of questions is what I'll ask. Um,
mm,
I've used your Google ads suck as a subject line, and those type of things, and even in ads, I will only, like I said, I only will run landing pages, nothing else,
yeah,
um, and that way you can track everything. Um, but yeah, that's there is an opportunity. I think that I've worked with a web designer in the States a while back, and he only worked with roller door companies. So
wow, it's
yeah,
very,
the States gets very specific. Roller door companies, he did websites for roller door companies in the States. It's like, okay, they get really specific. And that way they can be the authority for that area.
mm,
Um, so yeah, definitely recommend that. At the moment, I'm still finding a niche, but like I'm doing a shuttle company here in New Zealand that's doing airport shuttles.
right.
But yeah, anything where they generate leads and that sort of thing is what leads for their business, and
Mm,
generally have a website which is shockingly bad, which is many of them anyway.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
so
So you say overall you recommend being into a niche then? Because with what I'm planning on doing, I've had mixed reviews. Some people say get into a niche and hone in on it, but some people say keep open and just say industries you work with on your website. So what would your advice be? Would you say you recommend getting into a niche?
get some customers
Yeah.
in a niche, and then listen very carefully to what they say to you, and if you provide what they're after, that's a start, and then you can
Mm,
go wider later. There's nothing to stop you expanding it out.
yeah.
Um, but if you get results, say for example, you get results in the construction market, then you've got great testimonials for construction, and you're not saying um, that you're just in that market, but your testimonials in an area. So, you've probably got many clients that are still in that area anyway. I think serving a specific market is better, but do it from actual data.
Yeah.
I was one of Sam's clients through consulting.com, and he talks a lot about that. Is I help X do this, and that's the
Yeah.
process where you don't try and focus on everyone. Web design SEO companies in New Zealand and web design companies, they do the whole lot. Their SEO, their AdWords, they're trying to get them all in there, and then they're design companies, so they get recurring income, um, and that holds on as well. So that's the way they've done it. So I think
Mm,
there's no 100% correct answer, but if there is
no.
enough, if there is there enough, is there enough people in your market that will serve what you want to do, then go for it. And you could be all the construction AdWords specialist for the UK, and that's
Yeah.
plenty in the market, right? That's a multi-million-dollar market on its own. So
Even where I live, I live in the southeast of England, so I'm an hour away from London. And yeah, I mean, there's loads of businesses. Luckily, I'm fortunate where I live. There's a lot of businesses around, So, there's lots of businesses and construction client firms. And also, I actually had a phone call with a guy in America who said he's going to refer me to one of his friends with a web development company, but his friend with a web development company needs SEO for a few construction clients in America. So would you recommend trying to tap into America and trying to get in there if I could? Because a lot of people are
Yeah,
saying that the Americans are quite good with business in general, and they're very good at working with other people.
yeah, they are. But if you want to get them to recommend you, try and get them to like email and CC you in. Do it that way.
Yeah.
That works really well. And then build those relationships. I've got it was the funniest call I ever had was with and I'm going to swear, so I'm going to let you know on this one. So I had this guy I was working with, and he said, "I've got this new client, possible new client. We jump on a call with him." I went, "Yeah, jump on a call with him." And this guy was quite mouthy and quite loud because he was in New York. And oh, that's different. And then I said, "Okay, can we have a?" We jumped on the call, and I had the call with him, and then I went back to the web design person. The web design person said, "Oh, we'll jump on a call, see how it goes." He says, we got on the call, it was me and him. He says, "Do you want me to tell him to fuck off?" I was like, okay, like, fair enough. He says, so this guy's going to be hard work. Like, so we're not worried about it at all. So, um, look, I've got friends in the States that I work with. They are ahead of us on most things. I take all my training from the States. All the people I follow in the US market, they are ahead in most processes. Side note, are you going to a business networking group for what you do? Have you thought about that?
Yes. So I go to lots of networking groups in my local area, and there's also a construction networking group. So I'll be looking to go to that one and join up for that when I do rebrand my business and start that. But I've also got web developers that I work with who outsource me their SEO projects for their clients.
Yeah. So
So
the key,
I've got some construction.
so make sure that those web developers aren't over promising and just keep the communication with them really clear. CC them as much as possible, because I've seen where outsourcers have overstepped their mark, and work out that how they're positioning you. So I've had this situation where I've been on their email. I've had an email list from them, but I'm still a contractor. So you've got to make sure that you don't break the confidence there, or it's really clear that you are someone else outside the company, and it's really clear to everyone that you're working with, and having that clear communication builds up that long-term process. Where it breaks down is where I've had clients. You've got a web development company. He brings an SEO person. The SEO person says, "Oh, I can do web development as well." And they go, that breaks it. You've got to make sure that you are building those relationships. It is, and that will make things a lot easier for you. At the same time, that referral marketing makes it really easy. We're in an economic situation at the moment where you still have to be able to bring in your own business, and you still have to have that as well, because otherwise, and I've seen this specifically, where a SEO company was specifically relying on the leads of business that were referred to them from others, and they hadn't developed their own process of bringing in sales. So when the referrals are easy selling, right? You've already been promoted in basically, but they didn't have a cold process to bring in new business. They hadn't bought it out. So as soon as the referrals weren't coming through, you didn't have your own source of leads. You need to build out your own source of leads coming in at the same time, so that you're not reliant on referrals. Because if you're reliant on them, then your business is reliant on them. And if something goes on with them, or something goes wrong, or the business is not coming in from them, you're stuck. So and I think Alex talks about this as well. You've got to be able to generate your own leads in some form or another at the same time to make your business not dependent on those referrals. You've got to, and I've seen it. Like you would think that businesses would know this, but they get comfortable. Now I'm going to jump off in a second, but the last thing I'm going to tell you, because you're younger than me, and this is one piece of advice I got given a few years ago, and it's so simple, but very few people do it. When you have your own business, you should put 10% aside for what's primarily called as a shit hits the fan account. And for example, and then you put it aside, you don't touch it, you leave it alone, and maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years goes by, and something happens with the industry or something happens with the business or whatever, and you go, that's great. I've got $5 million in the bank. I can just walk away and do whatever I like. But it's a
Right, okay.
super simple way of protecting yourself. Um,
Hmm.
I've done this several times at different times, and it has saved my behind several times. So it's advice that I give my kids that are in their 20s as well. Is like create that account that if you can't get paid for 6 months or something happens or you can't work for 6 months, it doesn't matter. And
No.
that's me and my grey hair advising you. So
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. And I appreciate the advice. Any advice you give, I really appreciate, and I'll take on board. And I'll look to make that financial strategy when I relaunch my new business.
yeah, it's so simple, but so many people don't do it. And like uh, it'll give you that little security thing that whatever goes on, I've still got this backup plan. And if you go through, life throws curveballs at you, you go through relationship breakups or whatever, you've got that covered, and it makes you a lot more open to
Mm.
risks, open to doing stuff to grow your business. But yeah,
Yeah.
it super simple, right? Right. Hey, I'm going to sign off and I'm going to stick this recording up in the group. As always, look, if anything comes up or you want looked over anything or you want jump into your account or whatever, just drop it in the group and I'll jump in with you and help out where I can.
Well, thanks so much, Paul, for your time. I look forward to speaking to you soon.
No worries. Thanks, Archie. Have a good day.
Have a great day too. Thanks so much.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.